Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because, well, I'm often seen with a guitar. And they call me on the phone and they say, "Hey man, what's your show about?" I say, "It's about an hour. It's about guitar players, guitar playing, and all things guitaristic. So if you should want to call me on the phone and ask me a question about how to play the guitar, the care and feeding of your guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you, or some related topic like the guitarron, the sitar, the chitarra, chitole, lutes, ouds, vihuelas, banjos, balaicas, bazookies, bajos, sextos, mandolins, banjolins, I don't know, mandoras, ukuleles, cuatros, cavaquinhos, tiples, trombones, tromborinas, sackbuts, drum horns, chordhols, pipe organs and piccolos, xylophones and kazoos, and
Zithers.
zithers, yeah. Don't forget zithers. I know a little bit about zithers. I watched some videos about them, but there's different tunings. There's the Bavarian tuning and then the Swiss tuning or something, but never mind. Clarinets and clavinets and clavinovas and clavichords, harmoniums and harpsichords, harmonicas, auto harps and pixie harps and Celtic harps and concert harps. Anything you make music on, harmonicas, harmoniums. I said that already. Okay. Anything, politics, world events, your own personality problems, that's fine. We're here for you on the show, but keep it clean. This is a family program. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, hi, Bob. Got the show going again, another week. The first 21 years have been the worst, but starting to get it together, sort of. Well, not really.
I noticed there's a sign on your amp tonight that says it's orange.
It is an orange amp, yeah, and it says it's orange, and it is orange. It's an orange amp, and this one's an Orange Crush, and I picked this one up in a moment of passion. I think it was the Guitar Center in Cedar Rapids. I was up there for some reason, and I'm having trouble with like amps and amp modeling. This is very simple. It just has a Orange usually makes like distorted amps that have a lot of distortion on them. This one's very simple. It's if you put it in the clean channel, which I did, it has a little reverb and it's a couple knobs. It's very easy to deal with. So I thought I'd use it because I have some other things I'm working on this week. And so anyway, this week's show, I'm playing guitars exclusively that I acquired at the pawn shop, and specific guitars that I've acquired a number of guitars over the last few years at the local pawn shop. I think it's called Money and More. It's on Riverside Drive in Iowa City. And the prices, sometimes they charge more than a music store does. Sometimes they charge less. But I found, and I don't want to, I don't know if the guy's watching, but there's somebody who's pawned their guitar collection or sold them. And I'm sure they didn't get probably a whole lot of money for them. But the distinctive thing about this is that this guy takes the strap buttons that you normally put on, that they have on the guitars to hang the strap with, and replaces them with eye screws. People call them eye bolts, but a bolt has a nut attached to it. These are screws, so these are eye screws. And I believe that's what they're called in the hardware store. But these are hardware store things. So the most delicate little ones are little ones, they're a little screw like that, to the most enormous things. So, and I don't think he drilled the holes out, reeved the holes out. I think he just like screwed them in real hard. So these are instead of strap buttons. And I guess the way when you use these, see if I can get it like there we go. Wait, or here we go. Maybe there we go. There we go. Okay, there we go. So these are, yeah. All right, here we go. Huh? There I can see the. Anyway, and of course the little one, there are different sizes in these different guitars that I got. There's this one right over here, which is the smallest.
Hold it in front of your shirt.
Yeah, right. I'll show you something like this. Huh? But anyway, so I've gotten these guitars, and they're much less expensive than they would normally be for the the instrument they are. And the guy seems to have pretty good taste in guitars, and also some retrofitted pickups and things. This, I believe, is a standard stock Mexican-made Stratocaster, but I got it for about a third of the price that it would be worth normally. because it had the eye screws in it. It had some things wrong with it. I spent 2 hours working on it when I got it home, and it's pretty good. So I'll play this one for a while, then I have some other ones. I've actually acquired a couple other, well, one guitar I had on the show a couple weeks ago, I think. It was this yellow one. It's a Telecaster with P90 pickups, Squire. And I had that in the show, and I really liked that guitar. It had the grip screws in it. I didn't bring it this week because I used it already. But anyway, so, and then there are a couple other ones that I've acquired there that did not have the screws in them, and I paid more, like the regular used price for them. But I go in there always looking for a sort of a deal. And sometimes you pay much less than you would normally would, and sometimes you actually pay more than you would in an ordinary music store for used merchandise. But you get deals. It's I don't know. The only problem with a pawn shop is that you can't really. I recommend people who don't know guitars really well, or instruments in general, that they don't necessarily buy things in a pawn shop, or else be careful, because you don't get a refund as such. You can, in a limited amount of time, you can take it back and get a store credit and make an exchange, but you can't get your money back. And a music store would probably give you your money back. The other thing is they don't have like a service department, or whatever. If you buy a guitar at the Musicians Pro Shop or West Music here in town, or Coralville, whatever, if it doesn't work out, there's something wrong with it, then they have a repair guy.
So somebody there can service it.
Yeah, somebody there can service it, and they'll put it right for you. I mean, they both do it. They put it right for you, and frequently it doesn't have to go in the shop. The guy behind the counter can take care of the simple problems. And if it's something more serious, then they send it to their luthier, and you assume that their luthier is somebody who is, I know the guy at the Musicians Pro Shop went to luthier school, so he could learn how to build guitars and things, and then the guy at West Music's been there for 40 years, I don't know, forever. So, somebody will fix it. And but you don't have that at the pawn shop. So what you see is what you get. So I got this guitar really cheap, took it home, and worked on it myself, because I'm not a great repairman or anything like that, but I know how to, I set up the bridge differently. I plugged up the holes. I always move the strap button on a Stratocaster, but
You know how to set up a guitar to suit yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I have the little Allen wrenches, and this was up way like high and stuff, and so I cleaned it up and I fixed it up and I plugged up the holes with matchsticks, and I had strap buttons already, so I put some strap buttons on it. And now I have this. So I'm going to play this a little bit. What else I have is I have some pedals I'm going to play with. First off, I have, it's humming, which is typical. It's not too bad, actually. So over here, I have the hum debugger, which I have now engaged. So the hum is gone. This yellow one is not hooked up. I might try it out later in the show. I'm trying this knockout, Electro-Harmonix knockout pedal here. And what this does is it just changes the sound of the guitar quite a bit. Not like a distortion pedal, not radically, but it gives a different flavor. So you can make a guitar sound a little crisper, like you can make a Les Paul sound like a Stratocaster, or a Stratocaster sound like a Les Paul. So if I take this, here's what it sounds like now. If I push it, it's not quite so, with it engaged, it's a little crisper. Now I'm just trying to fool around with it here. I'm going to give it a bunch more high. And then with it off. And it's out of tune. So I don't know, I'm going to try this tuner pedal here. Okay, and that one was in tune. This one. All right. All right, well, I use a tuning pedal to tune, which I didn't ever used to do, but I'm evolving. I used to always just use it as a mute button, because when you engage a tuning pedal, see, the audience doesn't want to hear you tuning. So I'm starting to use it. Anyway, okay, so this knockout pedal seems to have really dressed up the amp, the guitar quite a bit. So. And of course, I brought my little Wally looper. It'll make me a loop. Sorry. I haven't had these strings on very long there. Still stretching. Anyway, see, once I get the guitar under the French fry lights here, that's something I heard Catfish Keith call the lights on stage and everything. Because, you know, if you go into a diner or someplace or whatever, they have the French fries in a big vessel, and then they have the light on them to keep them hot, keep them warm. That's what these are. So, TV lights are French fry lights. You can see the ones behind me.
For our hot talent.
That's right, for the hot talent, that's right. And I'm, it's too hot, baby. Anyway, anyway, this, I mean, it's kind of a cool guitar. I'm not sure about the pickups, but I've been, one of my future shows that I'm planning, I'm going to bring some other Stratocasters. I have a sort of a Stratocaster fetish, and I've been acquiring them. And the only reason I acquired this one was because I could have one more Stratocaster. But I have a pickup issues, and I have a, so I have one that I had some Seymour Duncan pickups put on it, and it's very noisy right now. I need to deal with it. Might have the guy, a luthier, and a luthier, because you don't know, is somebody who repairs guitars and things, because there's a luthier and a lute the lute.
Lute mechanic.
Yeah, lute mechanic. Yeah, you know, lute, of course, is an instrument. It's like a archaic form of guitar, perhaps. I don't know. It's like a big kind of bullback thing, you know, that has a lot of strings, anywhere from 7 to 13 to, like, you know, 20, 23. 20, I mean, it depends. Like the Thierbo had a whole bunch of, had like extensions. They had like a 6-foot extension. So they had these harp strings in the bottom you could play. They said you could keep a horse in Paris for what it costs to string your lute, because the strings used to be made out of sheep's intestines, and they'd be, you know, spun carefully by hand in Italy, and they were very, very expensive, you know. And so, anyway, that's what people used to play. And then somewhere around 1800 or so, a little bit before that, the lute kind of just went out of fashion, kind of died, and the guitar came in, because there had been guitars before. The guitar was more like a ukulele, and the lute was the big deal. But then the lute kind of died, kind of like the harpsichord. There had been harpsichords around for quite a while, and they were the big thing. And then about that same time, the piano, which was a little kind of thing like the clavichord, some little personal instrument you used, kind of like a portable keyboard type of thing, you know. All of a sudden they made pianos bigger and louder and more wonderful, and so then the harpsichord died. So,
Which is very largely replaced the piano now. Most piano players have a little electronic keyboard.
yeah, well, yeah, but they don't respect them. I mean, most of them, but yeah, I mean, anyway, but yeah, I mean, the thing is, the piano players, I've been wanting to get one, you know. If the right one comes around, like at the pawn shop for $30 or something like that, I'll get it and take it home. So when the keyboard players come and say, "Do you have a piano? Do you have a piano?" And I say, "Well, no, but I've got this."
Yeah, well,
Plastic Casio tone. It's even got even somebody even used magic marker and put the names of all the notes on the keys so you wouldn't forget. Anyway, but yeah, one of those things. So.
but an orchestra or a piano concert's about the only place you'll see a real piano anymore.
Oh no,
If a rock band has a keyboard,
Well, rock bands have keyboards, and they have, like, you know, electric pianos, which have weighted keys, so they're very much like a piano.
Yeah.
But they, you know, in my youth, I used to help carry I don't know if you've ever been to Gabe's, but they're the beer
no,
garden.
I've been by there. I
You don't hang out there much.
don't hang out in downtown Iowa City much.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's not true. I'm at the senior center a couple times a week, but
Well, yeah, there you go. But they had this. I actually haven't been to Gabe's for quite a while, but I used to play there sometimes, and I used to hang out there and had friends who played in rock bands and things. And there was a back staircase that goes up, like a fire escape that goes up behind the stage, because the performance space is upstairs. You know, the stage and the. So I was there with Radislav, and I found myself. We were pushing a piano, like putting a piano up those back steps, a full size, you know, console piano. You know, the kind you have in your house, but not a grand, but it's, you know, the one that fits up against the wall. Yeah, an upright, but it wasn't like a spinet, which is very small and has a different mechanism. It was the full size, you know, piano that you have at home, and we were pushing up those metal steps, and for some reason, I was the guy in the bottom. I think it was because there was like these skinny little guitar players, and I mean, you can't tell by me now, you know, but when I used to be fairly fit. Not, you know.
yeah, we were all young once.
Yeah, I was no Vin Diesel, you know, but I was you know, fairly fit. So I was the guy in the bottom for some reason. I thought, you know, these other guys.
But at the time, you weren't Charlie Weaver either.
Yeah. Who's Charlie? Or
He used to be a character on the Jack Parr show. That's too old even for you.
oh yeah, that's before my time. Yeah,
Cliff Arquette was the actor's name.
Cliff Arquette. Oh.
Anyway, Charlie Weaver was his character. He'd come out and read letters from Mama on the Jack Parr show.
Oh, I see. Oh, I guess I missed that. Yeah. Well, Barney Fife, I know that was a character.
Yeah.
He was a skinny little guy, and
Don Knotts, yeah.
Don Knotts, yeah. Anyway, but carrying around a piano is kind of problematic, and also once you jostle them around, they need to be retuned. So that's why the bands use electronic keyboards, but most piano players that I have known just really would prefer not to play an electric piano of any kind, or like an electric keyboard.
We had a classical pianist come up to the senior center one time who was complimenting the senior center on their grand piano, and he said everywhere he goes they have a piano-shaped object for him, but he never knows what it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem, and I used to know an organist a long time ago, and she said that that the thing is the reason, because she was getting into Buddhism, and the reason that so many organists become Buddhists is because there's a thing about Buddhism, you accept what is. Because, you know, if your organ, the organ's out of tune, you know, it's installed like in a church or a big hall, you know, and if it's out of tune, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to play it, you know. And of course, you can't tune the piano either. Now, me, if I bring my own stuff, right? So if the guitar doesn't work or something, I'll use a different guitar, or I can usually fix things myself.
Or a guitar player can spend a lot of time tuning.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, well, we know what this one will do. So let me just fool around a little bit. I'm going to make my moves. Okay, so I got this one, quite affordable. Well, I'll try this one next. Oops. Let me pull this out of here. Put that in my pocket. So this one, I have had this on the show. I think I got it last winter, and it was really cheap. This is the one that had the most enormous eye screws in it, and this is a what is it called? A something 10. They only had them out for a couple of years. Series 10. It's a Telecaster. It's made in the body and neck are made in Korea, and it has been altered in many ways. Oh, I should start tuning it, I suppose. I should probably just I'm just going to tune it normally. I don't know how to use tuners. So, anyway, the guitar itself, body and neck, it's Korean. It was a Series 10 was a Bentley, and Bentley was a guitar that was manufactured for an American distributor in Korea in the 80s. The Series 10 is a Bentley, but it's the next generation. So this is probably from the 90s. It's about 20 years old, maybe a little more than 20 years old. I don't know. Body and neck. So it's a Telecaster with the Jackson headstock or Jackson neck. So it was a cheap Korean electric guitar, but actually pretty good wood. And a lot of the Koreans do a good job. There's some really good factories in Korea, and sometimes they're actually preferred. Anyway, and the knobs are gold, so the volume and tone knobs are different. They're fancy gold. Oops. Making noise. Just bang on a little bit. But the pickups are Seymour Duncan, and I don't know what the deal is, which ones they are. But this is the middle position. The neck position. Take off the knockout. That's the center. This is the really good one though is the bridge position. Actually, it's a pretty decent guitar. Except it's making noise right now. Well, if I don't like it, I've also got another guitar. I actually haven't checked this one out. I've just got it off the wall. That's better. it's interesting. Can't quite get the thing to behave the way I want it to today, but to be quite honest, I spent a significant amount of time at West Music this afternoon. I was hanging out there in the guitar shop, the guitar part, you know, of a music store in Coralville, West Music, where I used to work a long time ago. They had a Stratocaster there that earlier in the week, I think it was earlier in the week, or was it late last week? I don't know. It was a used Mexican Stratocaster. It was a 50s reissue special, so it was supposed to be like the Strats were in the 50s, and it was a pretty color, very light, I think maybe light blue or something. It was a pretty color. It was like, and I looked at it, you know, and I went out there because I had somebody had given me a gift card. It was I think it was a MasterCard or whatever. It was $25, and I had some money in my pocket, so I was thinking about you know, just buying actually a new gig bag to put guitars in, and then I ended up blowing all my money on a new strap, which I guess I think I have it, but I brought it with me. It's not the one I'm using right now. Anyway, so I bought a new wide leather strap because I play guitar for like 3.5 hours in one sitting in gigs, and I wanted something comfortable. But I didn't, so I didn't buy the gig bag, and I didn't buy the Telecaster or the Stratocaster. So I was thinking, okay, I have a pretty good Ibanez Artcore semi-hollow ES-335, which is basically the kind of similar in some ways. I mean, it's a much cheaper one, but the B.B. King played the Gibson ES-335, and this is a...
we should mention died last week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, B.B. King. He died since the last show, but anyways, yeah, so I was thinking about trading that one ES-335, which is a decent guitar. It plays real good, it feels really good, but it doesn't sound the way I want to. In fact, if I've been thinking about it, maybe I should have brought it on the show this week and tried it with a knockout. Maybe I could make it sound like I want it to. Anyway, so I think, okay, I'm going to go. I had some money, you know, today. I still had that money, a little bit of money. I had a pretty good weekend. And a really nice Ibanez Artcore semi-hollow body ES-335 copy. I thought, well, maybe I could just get that one more Stratocaster. And then I got there, and it was sold. And I had that mixed emotion, you know. On the one hand, I was really glad that I didn't have to buy another guitar or get another guitar, you know, and blow all the money that I have available to me, the cash, you know, and then get rid of a guitar, which is nice and feels good, but I just haven't figured out how to make it sound the way I want it to. So I was glad, but then I was kind of sad because I thought, wow, that would have been really nice, you know, to have that guitar. Now it's gone forever. So I tried out all kinds of other guitars and things, and there's nice stuff out there. And there's a really interesting Gibson that they have there, which actually has a switch, a rotary switch that has all these different settings. So it has the same kinds of settings that B.B. King's Lucille guitar had on it, but it's a small, solid body guitar. I mean, about the same size and depth as this one, but different shape, and green, like two-tone green, kind of obnoxious, really. It would probably be invisible with a green screen if I brought it here. So I didn't get it. You know, I probably could have, maybe I could have traded almost even up for it, but. And I tried my way through some Paul Reed Smith and some other Stratocasters and Telecasters and things, and I left there feeling virtuous, because I left empty-handed. And but anyway, that's my story. I think the switch just needs to be cleaned. I mean, I don't know. This guitar was pretty dirty when I got it, and I cleaned it up to the surface, but I didn't get inside with the, you know, aerosol cans of cleaner stuff. And I suppose that's not a bad sound. Anyway, that's fun. So I've come this far. I'm gonna get me another guitar now, because I can. So anyway, Series 10 Who are we fooling? It's a Bentley. And Bentley, of course, is the, I think Rolls-Royce, do they own Bentley, or Bentley own it?
They used to.
Oh, they used to, yeah.
Now, I can't remember which is which, but Volkswagen owns one of them and BMW owns the other one these days.
Oh, I see. Well, Bentley is a luxury car, English, British luxury car. So this is a Series 10. It's trying to be hip and groovy, but kind of nice, actually. I mean, I can imagine, you know, well, maybe cleaning it up a little bit or something. I don't know. Got another guitar. I sometimes imagine starting a nonprofit organization, Tom's Guitar Show nonprofit, but the thing we would do is we would put instruments and you know, in people's hands, and then possibly you know, get scholarships for people to take lessons around the country and stuff like that, promote things. So I thought, well, what I could do is with guitars like that is I could just like give it to somebody, you know, like some poor kid. It's actually not a bad guitar. There's no real good reason for me to want to play that Bentley. It's okay. I have a rather larger Telecaster collection, though, and some of them are quite fine and that's sharp, in good shape. Okay, I'll just tune this to itself. Everything went sharp in my music room when the humidity spiked, and I've haven't gotten around to tuning everything. So I just got this off the wall. I mean, I lingered in the music store a little longer than I should have, and so I went home and just packed up in a hurry. Okay, so I got this one some time ago, and it wasn't all that cheap, but this is basically the top of the line Washburn Gibson ES-335 copy. So this is the design that B.B. King's guitar was, and it's they call semi-hollow body because there's a big chunk of wood going through the top. Sometimes they put a piece of wood in there, sometimes they actually just carve it out, and these are what they call wings. So there's hollow here, but solid here, but hollow around the edges. So these are called wings, right? So you get that solid body plank through the middle, and then but you also get a hollow spaces that sort of give it a different tone and different sort of sustain. So that's what the B.B. King's guitar is. This is basically the top of the line of some era of yeah. Let's try it without the knockout. Try without the hum debugger. It doesn't hum. It's because these are humbuckers. They're double coil pickups. They're two pickups put together facing each other, so they cancel out the hum. And so this doesn't require it. These other ones have single coil pickups, like Stratocasters do, so they hum sometimes. This is actually a pretty decent guitar. It wasn't like the Bentley. I think it was like $80 or something like that. The Series 10 Telecaster, and I don't know if I should mention these, but I got the Stratocaster for $129.95. I have another one that I got. I had brought in the show a couple weeks ago. A used white Fender Stratocaster, also Mexican made. I mean, I like the Mexican ones. Some of them, some are better than others, but they're really quite good. A lot of them. But anyway, that was $325 used in a regular guitar shop, and that's a fair price for a guitar that the discount price you can get, you know, is $499. So 3 1/4 is a pretty good price for used, you know, Mexican-made Stratocaster in good shape. The red one that I got there was only $130 or $129.95, and you know it needs some work. They had another one hanging up in the wall there for $400 that you know, slightly beat up Mexican Stratocaster. So it's just like, you know, different prices for things. This one anyway is this here. This one has these locking tuners. There's actually a little thumb screw thing on the back, so you put the string in and you can tighten it up. You don't have to. I have no need for that because I just put a little kink in the end of the strings. But it has. These are certainly not the tuners it came with. These are very expensive, fancy tuners. I don't know about the pickups. They might be the stock pickups, but very nice. Very nice guitar, really. And I haven't actually played this at a gig. I played it at the church gig that I had when I first got it, and I fixed it up. It was quite dirty. So I just basically polished it up, and I put heavier strings on it than it had. I like a little heftier string for the kind of playing I do. And that's all I had to do, really, and it's fine. But anyway, I'm not really doing a commercial for the pawn shop, but, and as I say, I want to reiterate,
Since you haven't named the pawn shop, I guess
I think I might have mentioned it earlier in the show.
we have mentioned West Music on several occasions, but
Well, there's West Music and there's the Musician's Pro Shop. And the Musician's Pro Shop is very close to PATV. And I go there quite a bit, actually. I'm kind of a pest, I think. But the thing I'll say about the pawn shop is you can get a really good deal at the pawn shop. You can get a really fine instrument for a very reasonable price, a very low price even. You can also get an instrument that has serious problems and maybe will never play for you at and maybe at an inflated price, or maybe you won't be able to return it. You won't be able to. Well, you can return it, but you only get credit. You don't get your money back. So it's not necessarily the safest bet if you don't know what you're doing. Now me, one thing I'm good at is buying guitars. See, I have a ukulele I bought when I was 12 with my paper delivery money that I had. It was $10, and this is a long time ago. And I still have that ukulele. It's a Silvertone. I've had it on the show a couple times. It's a baritone uke. I bought it in, it was 1969. And it's about as old as I am, because it was used. So.
At Montgomery Ward's?
Well, it was Silvertone with Sears.
Sears?
Yeah, but
I know it was
bought
one of those chains.
But I bought it used from a music teacher in my junior high, and for $10, and I believe she got it new in about 1958. So it's an older one, but it's fine. It's still fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It plays fine. It's not a great ukulele, but it's a pretty good ukulele.
Well, there are people that are playing instruments that are hundreds of years old.
I have a guitar that was built in the 1820s, and I have a mandolin from 1898, and another one from 1903, and I have a guitar from 1930, and they all play still. Although I say the 1898 mandolin's a little smelly, and the 1820 vintage guitar is a little bit less smelly, but I think the 1930 guitar smells pretty good, and the 1903 mandolin smells just fine. So, but anyway, but yeah. So I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can get a great deal at the pawn shop sometimes. If you don't quite know what you're doing, you can get a good deal, fair deal probably, at the. You can get a decent deal, and you can get service and help at the local music stores. And I would say that I don't. People say different things, but I don't find either West Music or the Musician's Pro Shop to be in any way corrupt or dishonest. You might, something might go wrong, but they will make it right for you. So, and if you're less experienced, I say develop a relationship with a music store. You can always buy stuff online. There's eBay and stuff. Sometimes you'll end up getting ripped off online. Sweetwater is a good online store. I've bought some things from them, and they've been very good about, I've had terrible issues with my Fender Princeton amp, which is an extravagance, and I don't, I'm on my third one. But, if I weren't an expert on buying guitars, I would certainly buy my guitar at one of the music stores. And then, things don't work out, they say, hey, and maybe you don't know how to, maybe it's something you didn't know. He says, there wasn't anything wrong with it, you just didn't know how to work it. And so they say, well, just do this, and then you're fine. Anyway, let's try some. That sounds good. You're gonna like this guitar. I haven't spent much time with it. I got it because it was there, and it was possible. You know.
Guitar acquisition syndrome.
Guitar acquisition syndrome. I was in a real 335 thing, and maybe I won't sell the Ibanez because I have this one. I have an Epiphone Sheraton 2, which is one that I think John Lennon was pictured with when he was a Beatle back in the old days. This one's made in China. It's like a replica. But it's Epiphone. And Epiphone is the brand that Gibson, it's Gibson's import line, the ones that they get from Asia. And of course, there are actually some Epiphones that are made in the USA, and not recently, but and they were all made in the USA, in the earlier 20th century. But they bought out Epiphone when the old man died, something like that. That's the story. Anyway, but anyway, so it's the same shape and everything like that. It's a little bit different, and it's their top of the line Sheraton 2. I have the 335 copy, so I have three, and then I have a couple of other hollow bodies, semi-hollows that are very similar in tone. I actually have a Peavey, which is a very interesting, strange guitar with a Bigsby whammy bar, and it's pretty obnoxious, and it's got that glittery kind of bowling ball, sparkly red finish on the top. And I've had it on the show a couple of times, but it has the Bigsby whammy bar, and it's very noisy. It makes a terrible hum, but under the right circumstances, you can get that to go away, or if if I'm going to play rockabilly, I'd play that, But anyway, then I have a couple other guitars that are kind of along those lines. Single cutaway. One's more of a jazz guitar. It's not a semi-hollow. The other one's a semi-hollow, but it has interesting pickup configuration and only a single cutaway, not a double cutaway. So it has a lot in common. So I have a pretty good collection of them, and they're all different. This one actually, I think it sounds better than the Ibanez. It's kind of heavy on my shoulder. Anyway, so one more thing I want to do is crawl around the floor. I mean, but not just for its own sake, but I want to disconnect the Knockout and just try this acoustic simulator, because I have a theory that it's going to do the same thing. I should try this out at home, but as I said, I spent too much time goofing off. So here I go. Get down. Now try to get back up. Mistake. Okay, but pretend I didn't do that.
Remind our viewers never to do that.
Yeah, never do that. Sounds a lot better with it off, doesn't it? Well, it's supposed to be an acoustic simulator. It's supposed to make your... So that's the guitar without the effect. That's with the effect. That was my experiment. I suppose I should have done that at home, huh?
No, that's your Mr. Science piece for this show.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan Coffey, he Dr. Science, he used to do shows here back in the guy from Public Radio.
Yeah, I've seen the name before. He was one of the Duck's Breath guys.
Yeah, well, he lived in Iowa City for a long time. Yeah. I actually, somebody told me about him. He's living in Thailand because he's retired. But he gets his Social Security check, so he can live in some little town in Thailand very comfortably with what...
Social Security,
yeah. And here it wouldn't be enough. So maybe I should consider some other place. But by the time I get around to it, they probably won't have any... the rate of exchange and everything won't be favorable anymore. And I'll be a poor guy in a country where I don't really speak the language and I don't look like anybody else. And
They'll print lots of paper money, and a loaf of bread will cost $1 million.
Yeah, well, Zimbabwe or someplace. Yeah.
In World War II, both sides were doing that.
Yeah.
Printing the other people's paper money and spreading it around.
Oh, yeah. But then, of course, before World War II, the Weimar Republic, the inflation rate was so high in Germany that...
it was worth the paper it was printed on.
Right. I think it's Zimbabwe, isn't it, that has such an inflation problem that a dollar...
One of those African countries.
Yeah, they keep
Yeah.
putting more zeros on the money, and you just, it's not worth anything, but, so, the greenbacks are worth something over there.
Yeah.
So,
So far.
so far. Well, our currency is actually doing pretty well in the world. I mean, people had predicted it to be, back in the Bush days, and people don't, I know a lot of people, and I'm not, I'm not a leftist by any stretch, but there are a lot of people who have forgotten completely about Bush and the way the economy went and the enormous debt. They blame the debt now on Obama, who actually shrank the rate of growth of the debt, but he had no choice, but they've forgotten completely about this, but our currency became. There were jokes, Europeans were using jokes, using it for toilet paper and so forth, the dollar, but then everything's sort of been stabilized, and the dollar is a pretty stable currency still, even though we have an enormous debt. Another thing people don't realize is one guy was talking to me and said, well, the only good president we've had in my lifetime was Reagan because of the economy. I said, what do you mean? Before Reagan, everybody in the world owed us money, and now we owe everybody money. So it's just, I mean, and I'm not saying like maybe you like Reagan and everything like that, and maybe you like George Bush, or both George Bushes, but, they weren't responsible with money.
Yeah.
And they were, I mean, just look at the bare facts. I mean, whatever, he would say, well, they had no choice. I mean, Reagan could blame it on Carter, but if you just sort of examine the truth, I mean, the reality of it, it's, so maybe you, as I say, you can certainly go ahead and be a fan, but there's a thing some people call it having a fact-based narrative. I've heard this, fact-based narrative. You like, just use facts. So, anyway, that's my thing.
That's your political statement for the night?
Yeah, I mean, whether or not you like them, I mean, you can like, Santorum or somebody like that. They could be Michelle Bachmann or something. Sarah Palin. I know a guy who likes Sarah Palin. He hugged her at some sort of event, during the presidential campaign here in Iowa. And he's a huge fan of Terry Branstad. Gives him a lot of money for his campaigns and so forth. And and that's fine if that's how you feel, and that's fine. But if you look at pragmatically at what people actually do, if you look at what they actually say and whether or not what they're saying is true or not, like the death panels, thing. They said they had death panels, and it wasn't in the healthcare bill. There's a guy I know who told me that the Sharia law is in the healthcare bill, and he's convinced of this. He said he will not do it because he's quite religious and Christian. But so I looked up the claim, and it, Snopes or whatever like that. And what it is they say, well, there's certain religious minorities might get out of having to have this medical insurance because they take care of their own
Right.
communities.
Well, the Amish.
Yeah, the Amish, right. So there's some discussion whether Muslims would be able to do that because they don't believe in gambling, and insurance is like gambling. But the thing is, but they decided it wasn't because they have other kinds of insurance. So that was the only thing.
If they look in their King Jim Bible, there's a lot of those same laws in it.
Yeah, that's where they got them from in the Quran. But anyway, that throws over. I'm a politically middle-of-the-road extremist. I don't know. I think this show's about over. I don't